In a newly revealed affidavit of probable cause, Gerhardt allegedly asked his wife, Arielle, to take a selfie with him right in front of a really steep cliff. When she got nervous and refused, she says that he pushed her, grabbed her upper arms area, and started the attack. Now, this all happened at a very popular tourist lookout in Oahu. Fortunately, 2 hikers were nearby. They allegedly saw this attack going on, called 911 after hearing Arielle screaming, "He's trying to kill me." She also said he was bashing her head with a rock. In the meantime, she has filed a petition for a restraining order, and it has been granted. This guy cannot go within 500 feet of her. And the petition is quite illuminating. It sets a backdrop where she says he was getting jealous, accusing her of cheating. And she says this was his theory. You know, he had this theory that she was having an affair, and that's what led to extreme jealousy on his part. Let's dig in some more on this case. I want to bring in Court TV senior producer, journalist Barbara McDonald. Barbara, good morning.
Good morning, Julie.
You grew up in Hawaii, born and raised,
yes,
and you're familiar with this area. So
very.
Could we start there? What's it like?
It's one of the most popular tourist attractions on the island of Oahu. If you've ever driven around the island, you drove right through here, even if you didn't stop at the lookout. It connects the main part of Oahu, Honolulu, with the eastern shore where Kaneohe and Kailua are. That's where Obama vacations, over on that side of the island. But about 1 million people visit this area every year, but it's also very, very steep. It is a dangerous area. If you're on the Honolulu side, it's not as steep, but over on the windward side, those cliffs are sheer, dropping off 1,200 feet down to sea level below. And that's what makes it such a wonderful lookout spot. In the particular trail they were on, we found these images on, or this is actually from one of our affiliates in Hawaii. This image is from a blogger, Nagri V, and this is the trail that we believe they were on. And you can see how treacherous that is. And Arielle Konig, in that request for the restraining order, described how there were sheer drop-offs on both sides of this cliff that she was on, which is what made her so concerned. It is a dangerous area. People who grew up in Hawaii know that nature is dangerous, right? You have to take precautions, even though it is beautiful and wonderful and all of that. And so she was very concerned, and she describes this just vicious attack where he yells at her to get back over there to the edge of the cliff and says, "I'm sick of you." And this is a vacation that she thought he brought her on to Oahu for the couple of days to celebrate her birthday. They've been having this rough time. They were both in therapy, couples therapy and individual, after this allegation that he had allegedly made that she was having an affair. She said that sparked this very obsessive behavior from him, where he was trying to control her communications and perhaps reading her text messages and private messages. And she also talks about, in this request for this restraining order, that he had previously sexually abused and assaulted her. And so there was all this turmoil in these months leading up to this trip. She thinks things are getting better. They go out on this treacherous hike, and he, according to her and these witnesses, tries to kill her by pushing her off, bashing her head with the rock, sticking her with a syringe with, we don't even know what was in the syringe. They haven't recovered those yet. So just a vicious attack, and in such a strange location where there's people everywhere.
Right.
Tourists and hikers and residents.
I was thinking about that, Barbara. I wanted to ask you about that, please. Because we know these 2 women who saw the attack happening seemed to be like a miracle for Arielle Konig, in that, I mean, she's been everything you described, you know, pushed, attacked with a syringe, beaten with a rock, and she's screaming and pleading for help, and then they say, "We see you, we're calling 911, they're here to rescue her." My thought was, how busy is this area? Was this a fluke that they were there, or is this an area where it's commonly traveled?
Well, so there's 2 parking areas for this lookout area, and everybody pretty much goes to the lookout first, and then there's these trails that go off of the lookout area. And so the lookout is the main attraction. Fewer people go on the hikes because it is more treacherous. You need to know what you're doing.
Right.
And it's not a beginner's hike. You know, it's probably one for somebody with a little bit more experience. And so it probably didn't have a tremendous number of people on that specific trail, but they're in an area where you're gonna hear, you're gonna see what's going on.
Sure. So, you know, it's open, it's wide open. It's not a secret, you know, place where this could have.
Right. And you have, you know, tourist buses stopping to drop off loads of tourists to this area, cars passing through in the tunnels that connect this area. So just a very, very busy area. And you would think if this was what his intent was, he could have found a more remote location on Maui or Oahu.
Sure, that's a great point. Barbara, this is great having this context. I want to bring in now Dr. Sue Kornbluth to become part of this conversation. Dr. Sue, when you hear some of the information Barbara just shared with us about how he was suspecting her of having an affair, do you think this could be a possible motive for what police say happened last Monday?
I mean, absolutely. When anybody has an affair, we've seen in other cases that it can be a motive to murder the other person because they have obsessive personalities, controlling personalities, and they need to be in control at all times. I mean, while I was listening to this, I wasn't sure if there was previous history of him being violent towards her, and I was thinking there probably was, and Barbara confirmed that. So this is a history of, it seems, violence between the two of them that doesn't just stop without severe help that he would get. It seems like she was a battered woman, and I'm thinking that up where they were, sometimes you can just snap in the moment. It doesn't matter who's around, and that seems what happened here. Maybe she says something to him that set him off. That often happens with a batterer, and he just let loose on her. But why was he up there with a syringe? I mean, was it planned?
Exactly, Dr.
Questions.
Sue. Right, which makes me think that something was planned, because apparently he had 2 syringes and a vial. As Barbara noted, we don't know what was in the vial, what the intent was there, but I wonder, Dr. Sue, does it seem like, if these facts are true, if we were to accept them as true, just for the sake of our discussion, does it seem like he couldn't pick what he wanted to do? Because first he tried the pushing, then he tried the injecting, then he tried the assault with the rock.
Well, yes. I mean, this seems to me like a rageful, impulsive attack. So when he couldn't find one way to kill her, he tried to go to the next to get it done. But thank God he did not succeed. And this lady has a very, very long recovery ahead of her. And I hope that justice is served here.
I do too, Dr. Sue. And Barbara, quickly, Arielle is stable?
She is. She's home back on Maui now.
That's great.
And she does have this restraining order, not only against her, but their 2 young children, 4 and 2. The son that he called back in Pennsylvania to tell him that he had attempted to kill his new wife, that son is also under the protection order, as are Arielle's parents and the family dog. So hopefully they're going to be protected.
Right, still in on that $5 million bond. Barbara McDonald, Dr. Sue Kornbluth, thank you both so much.